Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps.
Today, we're looking at a move that, honestly, it sent shockwaves through the whole tech world.
It really did.
And it's mainly because it marks the formal operational return of Jeff Bezos.
Right. He stepped down as Amazon CEO 4 years ago, and now he's suddenly back with a proper executive title.
For a brand new and very ambitious AI venture.
A massive story. And this isn't some vanity project. He is taking on a formal operational role for something called Project Prometheus.
Project Prometheus. Okay, so our mission today is pretty simple. We're going to unpack the scale, the focus, and, the competitive world of this new company, all based on the sources you've shared.
Yeah.
If you want to understand why this move basically changes the entire AI chessboard, well, you're in the right place.
And when you look at the source material, the very first thing that just leaps off the page is the audacity of the funding.
Okay, let's start right there with the hook, because the money involved is just staggering. What kind of financial commitment are we talking about right from day one?
So Project Prometheus is launching with $6.2 billion in funding.
Wow, $6.2 billion.
Billion, with a B. And a good chunk of that is coming from Bezos himself.
That immediately establishes it as what?
Well, the sources call it, and this is a direct quote, one of the most well-financed early-stage startups in the world.
I would say so. For an early-stage company, that's almost unheard of. It tells you they're not planning to, iterate and find their way.
No, not at all. They're planning to execute a fully formed strategy from the get-go. And you mentioned Amazon. While he's still the founder of Blue Origin, this is his first formal executive or operational role since July 2021.
So he's really back in the daily grind.
He is. He's stepping back into the office as co-chief executive. That distinction really matters. He's not just writing a check here.
He's taking the wheel.
He's taking the wheel.
That co-CEO structure is fascinating. I mean, with that kind of money and ambition, your leadership has to match the scale. So who's the co-pilot here? Who's running this with the Bezos?
That would be Vic Pajash. He's the co-founder and co-CEO.
Okay, and what's his story?
His background is a huge piece of this puzzle. Pajash is a physicist and a chemist by training, but his real pedigree comes from the cutting edge of deep research. He was a director at Google X.
Google X. We always hear it called the moonshot factory, right?
Exactly. But the key thing isn't just that he was at the moonshot factory, it's what he did there.
So what's the expertise that complements what Bezos brings to the table?
While he was at Google X, he founded the health startup Verily. So that shows he has this really rare ability to take incredibly complex, deep tech research.
The kind of stuff that seems years away from being practical.
Precisely. And he can shepherd that science into a structured, commercially viable product company. Bajaj even updated his LinkedIn to confirm the new role. It's official.
That partnership makes a lot of sense then. You have Bezos, the absolute master of logistics, scale, and efficiency.
Right.
Paired with Bajaj, the expert at turning fundamental R&D into actual products. It sounds like they're built to tackle some really difficult engineering problems.
That's a foundation.
Okay, what about the rest of the team? A $6.2 billion investment must be a magnet for top talent. But the AI talent market is so competitive. How are they competing?
The sources show they've been doing some very targeted, very effective hiring. Even while keeping this all quiet, Project Prometheus has already brought on about 100 employees.
100 people. And where are they coming from?
That's the significant part. They've successfully poached top researchers and engineers from their direct rivals. We're talking OpenAI, Google's DeepMind, and Meta.
So they're not just hiring, they're strategically extracting talent.
Exactly. It's not about mass hiring. This signals they're going after very specific, high-value experts who understand the niche they're targeting. It's a surgical approach into building a team.
Okay, let's unpack that. The core strategy, the what. The AI market is just so crowded with language models and chatbots. So why is Bezos dropping over $6 billion to jump into this?
What's their niche?
Yeah, what's the specific area that justifies this kind of investment?
This is where it gets really interesting. They are not trying to build the next ChatGPT. They're carving out a very specific vertical.
Yeah.
AI for engineering and manufacturing.
AI for engineering and manufacturing.
Yeah, and its LinkedIn profile description is super short, but says everything. Just AI for the physical economy.
I love that framing. AI for the physical economy. It implies moving AI out of the digital cloud and onto the factory floor.
Into the world of atoms, not just bits. It's a totally different game.
So how is that strategically different from the generative AI we hear about all day?
Well, the cost of failure is one thing, And the complexity of modeling reality is another. An LLM deals with text, with tokens. If it gets something wrong, it's a hallucination. You tweak the code.
Right. An embarrassing mistake, maybe, but that's it.
But AI, for the physical economy, it deals with physics, with heat, stress tolerances, supply chains. If this AI gets something wrong, a $500 million rocket could explode. An assembly line shuts down.
So the stakes are infinitely higher, the data is messier, and you have to factor in materials science, not just grammar.
Absolutely. The sources list 3 specific domains to start: computers, aerospace, and automobiles.
Okay.
So this isn't about getting ad placement right. It's about designing a more fuel-efficient jet wing or automating a complex fabrication process.
And the overlap there is pretty obvious. The focus on aerospace, for instance, dovetails perfectly with his work at Blue Origin.
You can see the synergy immediately. Project Prometheus could become the internal tech engine that designs his rockets more efficiently.
Or it could optimize the supply chain for Amazon logistics, improve the robotics in their warehouses.
It gives them an immediate, high-value internal customer, a place to test this technology on problems that cost millions of dollars to solve.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about the competitive environment.
Yeah.
Because even with this sharp focus and all this cash, they're walking into a very crowded market.
Extremely crowded. They are going up against giants. You have Microsoft, which is deeply integrated with OpenAI. You have Google's decades of research with DeepMind.
And Meta's open source models, pioneers like Anthropic. I mean, the cost of entry just to be relevant is astronomical.
It is. And here's where the tension really starts to build, because the sources point out not just the market saturation, but a deep growing skepticism about the financial health of this whole AI boom.
Right. We've seen these investment cycles before. A huge boom and then a correction.
And that skepticism is the critical context for this launch. While all this money is pouring in, you have some very high-profile people making massive bets against the big AI players.
The name that jumps out from the sources is Michael Burry, the investor from The Big Short.
Yep, that's the one. He recently made a huge move. He invested $1 billion in financial bets against the shares of Palantir and NVIDIA.
Against NVIDIA, the company that's basically building the backbone of the whole AI revolution.
The very one. Burry has been really vocal about this. He's accused some tech firms of using accounting tricks to artificially boost earnings.
So you have this incredible split. On one side, Bezos is betting $6.2 billion that AI is about to revolutionize manufacturing.
And on the other, you have financial heavyweights like Burry betting $1 billion that the whole thing is an inflated bubble.
It raises a massive question. Is this launch by Bezos a sign that the AI revolution is finally moving into real, tangible, profit-generating applications?
Or is he launching the most expensive startup in history right into an impending market correction, just as the skeptics are circling?
It definitely frames Project Prometheus as a huge confidence play, no matter which way you look at it.
It does. And it connects right back to the name of the company.
Prometheus, risk and reward.
Exactly. Before we wrap up, we should probably touch on the information gaps. The sources point out that despite the big news, a lot of details are still missing.
That's right. They've been remarkably secretive. We still don't know when Project Prometheus was officially started.
Or where we'll even be based. No headquarters announced.
And maybe the biggest question, especially for anyone at Amazon, how does this new venture's work overlap with or impact Amazon's own AI efforts?
We have no idea. There's no clear line drawn yet. Those are all major headlines just waiting to drop.
So after all that, what's the bottom line? What does this all mean for you, the listener, trying to make sense of this?
I think the main takeaway is synthesis. You have Jeff Bezos making a powerful, very specific return to an operational role. And he's backed by, well, colossal capital.
Right.
And he's aiming that power not at the chatbot market, but at the incredibly difficult, high-stakes world of physical engineering and manufacturing.
He's betting the real money in AI is in moving from bits to atoms.
Exactly. And he's doing it while facing the highest level of financial scrutiny the AI industry has ever seen.
And that brings us to that final provocative thought we wanted to leave you with. It's something to think about as this story develops.
The name itself.
The name itself, Project Prometheus, the mythological figure who stole fire from the gods to give technology to humanity.
But who paid an unbelievable price for it? That myth is a fundamental warning, isn't it? About technology and its consequences.
It is. You have to ask yourself, why name a company that's designing cars and rockets after a figure who represents both civilization-altering progress, and inevitable, agonizing consequence.
With a $6.2 billion price tag.
It makes you wonder, what kind of transformative power are they trying to unleash, and what's the implicit risk they know comes along with it? That's the scale of ambition we're really talking about here.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode on While We Were Distracted.